Hey, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Mike Jeezy coming at you with part 2 of my Hearthstone tutorial kind of thing. I watched over my first video and I noticed like there's like a lot of like scuffling noises, and I'm honestly not even sure what that's from. It's not like I'm doing anything super weird or like shaking my laptop or anything, so I don't know what happens. I'm gonna like set the computer on like a desk rather than my lap to like hopefully minimize it, but I don't know. I guess if it keeps happening, I'll have to like get a mic or figure out a way to like improve it. As I make more videos, hopefully, I get naturally better at it and learn how to use some of the tools and stuff that are in the random like movie makers and that kind of thing. So I'm gonna continue with the tutorial and talk over any stuff that I missed. I want to focus this video on mechanics, rarity, gold and dust, and buying packs. I figured like the first one was kind of just like a little bit too random for my taste, so I'll try to like make it a little bit structured better. Let's see. So I'm going to talk about the mechanics and go over like each one. So I didn't really talk about those specifically, and mostly for like for creatures. So the first mechanic is called Battle Cry. So like in the last video I talked about Battle Cry. It's similar to when it comes into play you get an effect. So but to clarify, the Battle Cry has to be like it has to be from your hand. So for example, if your monster was summoned out of your deck, the Battle Cry mechanic doesn't happen. So you can kind of think of it in Yu-Gi-Oh terms like Battle Cry would be when you normal summon rather than like special summon from the deck, because there are cards that special summon creatures from the deck, even though it's not called special summon, obviously. And Death Rattle, like I talked about in the last one, it's basically a graveyard effect. There is no like banished pile or anything like that in Hearthstone yet. Or I don't know if it'll ever happen, but who knows. So yeah, Death Rattle is basically a graveyard effect. So for example, this creature, this Death Rattle is deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. So when it dies, it will inflict 2 damage to your opponent. Oh, and Taunt, like I said in the last video, if you have a Taunt creature out, then that means your opponent can't attack other creatures and they can't attack the opponent unless they deal with the Taunt creature in some way. Here we see a text called charge. So in the description you can see it says it can attack immediately. So this is the equivalent of haste in Magic. And I didn't talk about summoning sickness in the last video. So summoning sickness works exactly like in Magic. You can play your creature, but unless it has charge or haste, it can't attack that turn. So different creatures have different abilities naturally. So it says Battle Cry, Death Rattle. This one has Stealth. Stealth is, I guess it's kind of like can't be the target of spells or abilities in Magic unless it does damage. So for example, this creature is a 1 cost and it's a 2/1 and has Stealth. So the Stealth goes away if it inflicts damage somehow, either to like the opponent or another creature. Then at that point the Stealth goes away. So if I summon this like on turn 1, it doesn't have charge, it doesn't have haste, so it just says Stealth. So if I had like a kill spell, a spot removal, and it can't be targeted by it. Nothing different here. This one's a little bit unique because it has a thing called Silence. Silence basically kind of like negates all the effects that a creature or minion has. So it's kind of like giving the creature, like making it like a skill drain kind of thing. So for example, if like the opponent had like a creature out that had Taunt, if I play this creature and target that creature to silence it, that Taunt would go away. It would just be the same attack and D, except it would just not have the taunt. And if the particular creature was like affected by some spells or abilities that gave it higher attack and D, it would also nullify those. And this thing has spell damage +1, which means if this creature was on the field and then I had like a burn spell, it would do 1 additional point of damage for it. So yeah, we see a lot of different, kinds of effects. I think the only one we need to talk about is Wind Fury. I'm just looking over the creatures, making sure I'm not missing anything. So I think for Wind Fury I need to go into Shaman, because I know they have a Wind Fury dude. Alright, here we go. So this guy is a 2-drop, and it's a 3/2, and it has Wind Fury, and it says can attack twice each turn. So this is basically the same thing as Double Strike in Magic, except it doesn't also do first strike damage. So if I had this creature out, pass the turn, my opponent passed, then that turn I can attack with this guy twice, either to other creatures or like attack the opponent twice, so it would do 6 damage. And Shaman specifically has this mechanic called Overload. The Teemo. So Overload with a parentheses 2. So this would mean, for example, if I had 3 mana, it's like turn 3, I have 3 mana in my pool. I can play this card, but that makes it so I have this amount of mana less next turn. So for example, if I played this on turn 3, next turn, like I would have 4 total crystals, but 2 of them will be locked out because of this Overload mechanic. And that's basically to balance out like how powerful the cards are, even though Shaman is kind of like slightly lower end class. I can talk about that as well. So with the 9 classes, they've actually done like a pretty good job of balancing all the classes. There is definitely like a tier system, but it's not necessarily guaranteed that because you're playing like a higher tier deck that you're gonna win. So it's exactly like in other card games, like just because one deck's tier 1 and one deck's tier 3 doesn't necessarily mean that the tier 1 is gonna win every single time. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about Rarity. So in Hearthstone, there are basically like 3, 4 kind of rarities if you think about it. So the lowest rarity, can't look at it. Let's go here. Alright, so the lowest rarity, even though it's not technically a rarity, is what I consider what is Soulbound. Soulbound is kind of like cards that you either start out with or you get through the various expansions. These can't be disenchanted, and I'll talk about Dust a little bit later. So yeah, the lowest rarity kind of rarity is Soulbound. Here, this is a common, so how you tell rarity is this little jewel thing in the middle. Silver or like white means that it's common. And the next rarity up would be rare, if I can find a rare. Alright, so here's a rare. It's noted with a blue crystal. Next one up is Epic, which is purple. I guess there would be 5 rarities if you could consider Soulbound a rarity. And then above Epic is Legendary, which shows with the gold symbol, or gold or orange kind of thing. And like I talked about in the last video, Legendaries you can only play 1 per deck, and all the other lower rarities you can play 2-ups. Alright, so I'm going to talk about gold and dust next. Currently I have 250 gold and I think I had like 125 dust. Yep, I have 125 dust. So the way that you get gold is through the quests, and also when you're like playing against other people, you'll get gold. So for quests, you can have a maximum of 3 total quests each day. At midnight, they'll automatically give you a new quest. And there's also a thing called the reroll, where here it'll have like a red X. So for example, with this quest, it's only 40 gold, but I only have to win 2 games with Paladin or Warrior. So I could use my reroll for the option to try to get a quest with higher gold. And in Hearthstone you have 40, 60, or 100. So if I had the reroll, and if I don't have it up here, either it means I used it already. So if I had a reroll, I'd probably like reroll this one, because I have to play 30 different minions that cost 2 or less, which isn't like hard or anything. But you want to always like have quests with more gold, naturally, so you have more gold. And since 40 is the lowest, like rerolling it to try to get 60 or 100 is economically better for you. With gold, you can buy packs or expansions. So I'll open up the shop so you can see what it looks like. So in Hearthstone, there's only 2 different sets: the classic set and the one that just came out, Goblins versus Gnomes. The classic set, is the one that came out when they first made the game. These are different prices for the packs. So for 1 pack, I can get it with just 100 gold. 2 packs is $3 cash. 7 packs is 10. 15 packs is $20. 40 is 50. And 60 packs for 70. So naturally, the more money you spend, it's cheaper per pack as a cost. So here I can choose my different booster pack basically. And down here you have the option of choosing cards for the adventure. Hearthstone so far has had 1 expansion that's come out called Naxxramas, which I've already purchased and done all that. That was like several months ago. This new one called Blackrock Mountain is coming out in April. They have a pre-order to get this. If you pre-purchase it, then you get that card back, which I showed in my last video because I just went ahead and purchased it because I don't want to have to deal with it. To purchase expansions, you can either use in-game gold or you can just use cash. And if it depends what your budget is. If you don't want to spend any money, like physical money in the game, then you can just grind quests and gain gold and just buy your stuff without spending any money. But I don't mind spending money, so I just went ahead and bought it. So I guess let's buy a pack and I'll show you what that's like. So I'm going to choose the classic pack because the legendaries in Goblins vs. Gnomes there aren't as many, and they aren't I don't need them because I already have them. And chances are I'm not going to get a legendary anyway. The legendary is basically your secret rare or your mythic rare in Magic. So I'm going to click buy, which buys a pack, and then it takes 150 gold from me. So it says purchase complete. Click OK, then I can either buy another pack or I can just click out of it and exit. So here it'll show you that I have 1 pack. You can click open packs to go to your pack. So to open a pack, if I had a bunch of packs, it would just all be in a line here. I only have 1 here because that's all I bought. So I just click and drag it and drop it in the middle, and it has this fancy little animation. So each pack in Hearthstone, you get 5 cards. You're going to have 4 commons, and then the rare spot, well actually it's not necessarily 4 commons. At minimum you'll get 1 rare. You could end up getting 5 rares theoretically, even though I've never seen that. So I could get 3 commons and 2 rares, or a mythic, or a legendary and a rare and 3 commons, or some kind of combination like that. To see what card you get, you just click on the card So they do this to like create like a little bit of suspense, instead of just like showing what you pulled. You can hover over the cards to see what rarity it is. It does kind of give you like a sneak peek. So for here, with the blue aura around it, that means that this is my rare. Anything that doesn't have an aura just means it's common, so this pack I'm going to get 1 rare and 4 commons. So you click it, it turns over, and then it shows you what the card is. And my rare is something crappy. So yeah, it shows you like the card that you pull, and it shows you if it's like a class specific card. So for this one, you know, it's a Warlock only card, this one is Hunter only, and then the rest, when I says all classes, that means it's a generic card that any class can run. So a lot of those I already have, so I'm just going to go ahead and disenchant them. Alright, so the concept of dust. In Hearthstone, you get dust out of cards, or you can also win them in Arena, which is your draft. Since you can only run 2 of a particular card in Hearthstone, like you can just disenchant the extra ones, because like for example, let's say I have this 2-up card. So if I have 2 of Clockwork Gnome, if I wanted to run it in every deck, I don't have to have like 18 copies of it. I just need to have 2. So like the Mech Mage, I run 2 in that. Let's just go here. So my Mech Mage has 2 Clockwork Gnomes. And then if I went back to, let's say, you know, Shaman, if I also wanted to run 2 Clockwork Gnomes, then it's available for me. Like I don't have to have like a whole bunch of copies. So in that aspect, like it's nice. You don't have to have a million copies of everything. So for crafting is basically a way for you to make your own cards. So this again also helps like the budget players and people that don't want to spend any money, so they can just craft their own cards out of cards that they don't want. Crafting mode here, it gives me option to disenchant extra cards. So from the last pack, I had 2 cards that I already had 2 of, so it gives you the option to just automatically disenchant those, and it adds it into your dust pool, your amount of dust that you have. So now I have 135. And some of those cards that I got from my pack I don't even like want. So one of them was in Warlock, so here it says it's new. And then to disenchant, you just right click it, and here it gives you the option to disenchant it or create. So this rare gives me 20 dust, but if I wanted to make the card, then I have to use 100 dust. I don't plan on using this card for anything, so I can just disenchant it. Then it'll confirm that you want to actually disenchant it. Then I'll just go ahead and kill that mofo. Then it gives me an extra 20 dust. And I think there was one within the neutral section that I didn't want. Oh, what's that thing? So yeah, oops. Yeah, so this thing I don't like have any use for. It's kind of lackluster, so I'll just go ahead and disenchant it. The nice thing with, you know, if you have like a whole bunch of dust, then you can go and make like really bomb creatures. I'll go toward like the end where all the big fatties are. Yeah, so this one it doesn't even show because I only have 160 dust. But this is a legendary, and to create it, it would cost 1600 dust. If I disenchanted it, it would give me 400. So it's on a scale of 4, and it does kind of suck that it costs like 1600 to make. But it's basically like Hearthstone's kind of economy, I guess. It would be kind of nice if you could like make cards out of gold too, but for now they just have it so you can use your dust. So I like to accumulate my dust for you know, legendaries that I can't pull. Alright, so I've talked about buying packs. I won't do any gameplay for this video. I'll probably do that next video. Alright, I think that's all the stuff I had planned for this video, so thanks for watching. Click the subscribe button, like it, etc. Thanks, and have a good day.